Hi guys, let's have a bit of a talk, a little quick discussion here and there, warning and an announcement. So, I want to talk to you two about the twins, specifically the twins called Honey and Chaos. Is that their real names? I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure if I learned their real names, y'all would never see me again. But who were they? Or who are they? In a sense, I couldn't tell you. Not immediately. I picked up some stuff about him here and there from what they told me, although I'm taking that with a grain of salt. Apparently, from way back when they were about, I want to say when they were in high school or like graduating, about to head to college, they had a pretty like cushy upbringing. It was them, their mom and dad, and they lived the high life. Rich folks, as it goes, trust fund babies, and they went to private school. They had good food. They got good grades, and for the most part, life was like easy for them. But they got bored of that, and one day they came across something, a briefcase that just randomly appeared. Later investigations show that it was a counterfeit ring of bills that was like moving throughout the area, and one of them happened to get lost. It happens, it could be anything from falling off the back of a truck to just being forgotten in a specific area. You know, now, whereas most people would just turn it in and go about their business, well, that's a lie. Most people would probably try to spend it. They saw an opportunity. So they took said money and they started to invest it because, the average person, the average Joe, wouldn't be able to discern the difference. Or at least they shouldn't. That's the whole point of counterfeit cash. And when anyone asked them how they could afford to do such a thing, they just said, and the parents gave them a loan to start their own businesses. So they figured they'd invest in other businesses and make money that way. And, started off simple enough, small time stuff, ye old local donut shop, music store, general store, computers. But then they started investing in a little bit higher stuff, car dealerships, clubs, bars. Some of them, they even completely rebranded restaurants. They started putting their little touch on it. Not necessarily their names. It wasn't going off of names. Hence the Honey and Chaos, because they figured if they're going to brand anything, it will loosely be tied to them for legal purposes. You wouldn't call yourself like, hey, I'm Mac Garvey and this is my store. It's like that's too traceable. Well, what happened to the people who owned said counterfeit cash? They didn't like the idea of someone running around spending it. Or more specifically, they found out about it from one of the boys. It was some small, well, it wasn't small time, but the people who were delivering it were just some foot soldiers. So, some people above them said, hey, go get that back. We're using that for something. When they couldn't find it and they found out, oh, these two girls took it for a joyride, they were like, okay, here's what we're going to do. Y'all gonna go down there, scare them, get it back. If you can't get it back, find some means of making up for said transaction. You know, get the ladies and, well, I'm not gonna say pimp them out. That would be totally something they would do. No, they were gonna ransom them because they found out, rich parents and such. Make, try to make some of that money back in actual cash. So one day when the parents were gone, they went to the house, kicked the door in, and yeah, they all died. Because as it turns out, both these girls surprisingly dangerous. Because Honey is, well, that girl's got ice in her veins, and also She's a professional shooter because her dad used to take her hunting and to the range, so she learned to hit targets, moving targets, and I guess they weren't expecting to see a full-fledged Beretta in their face, and her sister, ironically, went the other way with that and shanked a bunch of them because she has a fascination with blades, and they enrolled her in a martial arts class, of which she is now a black belt because she's been doing it since she was 6. Go figure. And, once they found the names of the organization that came after them, they devised their own plan. Now, typically, they could go to the police for this kind of thing, but let's be real, even certain criminal organizations, when they go to jail, they still remain in power. You know, they can just operate like that, and it's a beautiful thing. Now, this is where the story gets a bit tricky because they basically both refuse to tell me anything else after that. That's why they keep saying things like the people. Too many things that can be traced back to them. I'm sure they both know exactly what happened that day, but they always say the end was up for interpretation. Few popular theories that went around were, they pretended to be like dancers at the guy's club, found him at like while he was like relaxing, took him out. Some say they put a bomb at their base, took him out. Some say they led a coup by actively just paying off all of their foot soldiers and having them revolt. No one knows exactly how they came to power like that. But what people do know is that they did. One day, one of the biggest criminal organizations in the city was run by a pair of 20-year-old girls. And I'm going to give it to them 2 to 3 years to own that much power, money, and influence. It's kind of impressive. But obviously, like I said, they were surprisingly smart about this because a lot of their businesses that they bought legitimately with illegitimate cash also worked well as fronts, for tax sake. So, some of the more popular businesses, they would leave alone. Some of the smaller time businesses, they'd have little side hustles inside. And lo and behold, they eventually made the magnum opus, the Sweet Madness Club. Sometimes a gentleman's club, sometimes a dance club. And it's always neutral ground for most people. Because again, if there's one thing the twins are, it's they're good hostesses. I'm not even kidding. The other crime families leave them alone, and they leave the other people alone. A sense of like, hey, let's not go to war or anything. But when they need to have a sit down for whatever reason, they go to Sweet Madness. It's kind of crazy, and I don't know what it is about that place. Maybe it's the wings, but people just seem to relax over there, despite the fact that fights break out more often than you would think. But let's talk more about the twins first before I talk about the residencies. The twins themselves. Honey was always the business savvy one, or so it would seem. She's the one that shakes the hands, kicks the babies, punts the faces, cashes the checks for people, sort of thing. Or, I guess, writes them. You know, she is the one that's usually behind the screen, on the computers, making the phone calls, the very technical sense of the two of them. And it works for her. She's not the most social kind of person. Like, she's not a complete bitch, but she just doesn't like groups. Which, fair enough. Her sister, on the other hand, just kind of flips the script. She is completely just extroverted, just all over the place. I'm not even kidding. She'll pour shots with people, she'll dance on the stage with the dancers for fun. And she usually remembers names and faces, and she's the one that her sister will send out to parties to help secure deals with people. Wonderful. Great. Amazing how that works. But if you ask me, personally, I think it's an illusion. Because if she really was just the party girl, her sister wouldn't constantly be coming to her in regards to the deals they would be making. Because I think her sister knows more than she lets on, which is always interesting. Also, I'm just going to throw this out there. I know I call them twins, and one is a bat while the other is an echidna. Uh, Same dad, same mom, different races. They're kind of the hybrid girls. Let's just leave it at that. And I think they were just called the twins because they were born roughly around the same time with each other, like a few minutes apart. But I get the idea if people go like, well, they're not mirror images of each other. It's like, I mean, they're not twins in the traditional sense. It's fine. It's fine. You're overthinking it. But they do have their moments, where you remember that they're actual people because they bicker all the time, and then sometimes they'll even lead to them just going into full-fledged fights, which is funny because you would think, oh man, you got someone with guns and someone with blade. No, no, I mean it is the pettiest fighting you will ever see. I'm talking like slapping, like hair pulling, like the kind of thing you would see like teenagers do, like during like school. It's the funniest thing ever. I mean, honestly, it's entertaining though, because they just start insulting each other. It's like diving on each other. I mean, sometimes even clothes get pulled off, and it's funny. But everyone knows better than to actually question it because I remember one time someone said something while they were fighting, and then immediately after that, a bullet went through his head and he hit the floor. So no one says anything anymore. For the good of their health, we just kind of leave it alone. But I'm sure they love each other if there is any capacity for that within either of them. Because, like I said, they keep just doing the most sometimes. I don't know what it is about Honey, but when she wants you gone, you're gone. There was a guy that used to sit at the bar. He didn't like paying his tabs after a while. I don't know what was going on with his life. I guess they gave him a brief cushion window to pay it back, and when he didn't, let's just say they never found him again. I know, and that's the thing. They want to gaslight everyone into thinking he never existed, and some people genuinely believe he doesn't. But he put his initials one day underneath the bar. It was there the next day, and the next day, and then one day it wasn't. I know it was there. I can still feel loose traces of it if I move my finger across it. You can't just paint over that stuff. Now, some people think that it's usually the security that gets rid of people because again, like they're not just regular bouncers; these are full-fledged like criminal, like full-on mobsters, and they know what to do. You ever been hit by someone called Mr. Slaps? Mr. Slaps is quite scary, and he hits pretty hard. Does he hit as hard as Boo? I'm gonna leave that up to your discretion. But I know his slaps hurt. Friendly enough guy had to have that though. And they got, like I said, they got some sizable people in there. But this is the interesting part. Some people say that she sent her sister Chaos out there to go deal with people. Like, yeah, she secures deal. Yeah, she's friendly and playful. But I've seen her when they're off the clock. There's like this weird little glint in her eye where she just decides if someone needs to disappear, she comes in and does it. How do I know that she's capable? I went to her. It's not even like it's more like a penthouse, really. They let me take a shower. Now, typically, I didn't think nothing of it. She snuck in and scared the shit out of me. And while that wasn't the worst experience I've ever had with her, it was actually kind of funny. That made me a bit nervous. So much that I was on my guard the rest of the day, even when I tried to go to bed. And when I sat down on the couch and lied on my back, I momentarily closed my eyes, blinked, and she was right there again, on top of me with a knife. No clue how she does that. I think she just finds it funny. But again, I didn't even hear her. I don't know how she does that. It's crazy though. I've actually seen her fly a few times, cause she'll fly from the second floor of their building to the first floor, and it's quiet. Like you can see her wings flapping, but you don't hear anything. I have no clue how she does that. I want to ask her if she knows anything more about being in the air like that. But again, I doubt you'll give me a straight answer. Ooh, but I forgot to talk about the actual club though, the Sweet Madness. Now this is the fun part because it is surprisingly big in there, despite always being packed. Because when you like, let's say you get past security and don't get your skull cracked open, you walk in and you see just a massive site. It's like a busy hotel in a sense. People are just always moving around and doing stuff. On your right, obviously, is the bar. They got some good selections there. A lot of top shelf stuff too. And then leading past the bar, they have a kitchen area where they cook stuff. Simple stuff, but you can pick your patty there. You want a chicken sandwich or some wings? There you go. You want you want something like a salad? You go somewhere else. And then, they have little booths in the back. Past the booths, they have a private VIP area, for dances and such. Then past that, they have the extra VIP area, which I'm gonna tell you guys this right now. They are 100% surveillance. Don't listen to that bullshit where it's private. No. I'm fairly certain there's cameras in there, or at least microphones, because again, like they don't want anyone doing any dastardly shit to their dancers, and then also too, blackmail. Let's be real. Information is very prevalent with them. They hear a lot of stuff. They hear it all the time. If they want you to stop what you're doing, and they know you're doing it because they will listen in on it, they're gonna find you. Don't ask me how I know that. Let's see. Then there's also the main stage, which, for the most part, they'll have bands and live performers play during the dance nights, or even a DJ. And then, during the naughtier nights, let's call it that, the poles come down, the dancers walk up, and then people start cheering and throwing money. And then, outside of that, they have the usual thing: flashing lights, smoke screens, TVs on in the background. Nice little set. But then you see the spiraling staircase in the center of the area. And you just see someone guarding it. One of the bigger boys. And that leads to the upstairs. And the upstairs leads to the second floor. On the second floor is typically where the twins go to, use their associates or clients and host for any of the rich folk or any of the other people that come through. It's a more private area of the club that no one is allowed up there to except them, because that also leads into their office, and they have a smaller stage up there, a big old glass table, followed by several different coffee tables and chair sets up there. And typically they only have like 1 to 2 waitresses up there. Like they keep it very limited as to who can go around up there. And it's usually only the most loyal people. From there, that's when they hire the mercenaries like my team, or even my sister's team. They hire the assassins, like Typhon, or any of the other ones. Or they'll actually hire bounty hunters to go collect things. Anything from, like people like Izanami would be one of them. And then, yeah, there's a few different people actually. Now again, like I said, neutral ground. I might not like some of the people that go in that club, but god damn it, I am not gonna go start nothing with them while I'm in there. At least not until we step outside. Because again, like I said, they typically have a reputation to uphold, so they usually go around, and when they go around, like, think of like red carpet events, movie premieres, they actually make appearances over there. But like I said, the average person isn't gonna know what they're up to, but the people that live in that neighborhood or in those areas or visit that club know exactly what they're about. Not to mention the fact that even the dancers kick ass in their club. And I'm not kidding. I've seen one girl swing from the pole, from the stage, over to where the bar was, and she axe kicked an elephant in the back of his head and dropped him. It was actually kind of impressive. I'd pay to see it again if it wasn't for the fact that she immediately got tranquilized and dragged upstairs. So, I mean, she's still alive. They give her a warning, a little slap on the wrist kind of thing. But still, I'd rather not take my chances with it. Ooh, and that is another thing too. They pay pretty well. Like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that they were crazy, I'd go to them more often. Because they always know something. And there I think lies their power. Information. They may not have the most people or the biggest guns, or they might not even be the craziest in terms of being psychos. But like I said, if you want anything known or anything pushed out into the open, they'll have it. They will always have it. And that's why people tend to leave them alone. It's like, oh yeah, you can do that. Cool. And we'll expose your entire organization before we hang up the phone. Always something to think about with them. At least they're easy on the eyes.